Last year, I was able to ditch the 5-HTP and melatonin. At the exact same time, my medication had been lowered for my thyroid by a doctor. And I do think that, mixed with my choices, is what enabled me to move away from 5-HTP and melatonin. So my TSH was around the zero point 0.3 level, like it was a little low. And I think my medication changed by like 12.5 micrograms per day. And at the exact same time, for some reason, I don't know if it was the big shift in TSH, because my TSH went up to like 3.75, which was still within range, so I didn't need to make any other adjustments. I don't know if it was that change that then helped me move away from 5-HTP and melatonin, but from what I've read and had, melatonin and 5-HTP, they lower cortisol, dopamine, and testosterone. And I was like, I wonder if I've got too much of that in my system. I wonder if I do, where it's coming from. Some of it was probably too much coffee. Some of it was probably too much coffee past a certain point in the day. Like I have a cut-off range for about 8 to 9 o'clock, and then I'm like, I just can't have any. And I've got a maximum of 2 in the morning. It sounds weird even if I have 3. Like, it doesn't sound like a lot more, like 2, 3, who cares? But I think because I've got Hashimoto's, 12 hours for Hashimoto's is not the same as 12 hours for like a normal person's thyroid for some reason. So I've realized those things, and when I changed those two things, like cutoff point and the amount I was having, plus the medication change, all of a sudden I'm sleeping. I was like, I actually like going to sleep, seriously. Okay. Some of the other things that I did was I started to be really kind to myself. Like when I was struggling with my sleep, like some nights I'd have like rubbish sleep. The next day I was like, look, the world still turns and you do need to just kind of get on with it. But you need to get on with it slower. Like, there's no point rushing and pushing yourself around when you already feel rubbish. You'll still get all the things you need to get done. It'll just take longer. And that was one of the things that happened. And it's not great in the beginning because you're just like, ugh. But it did help. The other thing was that I snapped some of the 5-HTPs in half and was like, that's your amount. And eventually, like, I'd started to forget to have one, or so tired from not having good sleep the day before that I just went to sleep. And the other thing that I started doing was I started to think about, okay, so the cortisol that I need to lower, like, how can I do that? So in the beginning, I used other supplements. It's not great, but I used nutritional supplements instead. And I was like, maybe vitamin C. So I started using vitamin C before bed. I know a lot of people use it in the morning to wake up and feel good, but for me, it worked before bed. And another one that I used was iron, because I was like, you might need support for your adrenals as well. I don't know why I thought that. I can't remember the exact process that I went through. But I was like, sometimes when you need vitamin C, if your vitamin C requirements are going up and up and up and up and up, vitamin C helps your body absorb iron, which supports all sorts like dopamine for sleep. So I started to use nutritional supplements instead of just hormonal supplements. And to me, that was an improvement. That was like one step away again. And you're like, well, why don't you just do it through diet? Yeah, I know. I got there in the end, okay. But at that time in my life, like over a year ago now, that's how I started to move away from using 5-HTP and melatonin. I started to realize those things I was taking them because I was probably having way too much adrenaline in my body, way too much testosterone, way too much dopamine, way too much cortisol. Like all of those things too high. So I started to lower the things that would stimulate those things. So like I pretty much ditched weights. I was like, I'm just gonna have to like ditch that for now. I ditched exercise for a bit, and that's actually what helped me get going. And no, it sounds weird and totally contradictory to everything that you hear. And I exercise regularly now. But in the beginning, that's exactly what I needed. And it really helped. And my TSH stayed within a safe range. And I stopped weighing my food and I stopped stimulating like what I thought was like fat burn, which was actually just me putting on muscle and fat because my body didn't need any more muscle, so then put fat on as well. I was like at that annoying point, but I ditched all of that and I started to just eat what I wanted. And at points, that was a pack of biscuits. It's not perfect, but I realized then I needed to let go and I needed to start to be able to trust my ability to make good decisions for me. And sometimes what I'm finding is that sometimes when you let go of all the control you've got on the life, like, oh, I'm gonna control everything. When you let go of that and you're like, I'm gonna eat that pack of biscuits, you realize, like, like the next day, you probably feel like bloated, like from eating the biscuits. And over time, you start to realize if you want to feel better, biscuits are not where it's at. But you're still here, you're fine. The pack of biscuits, like, it didn't ruin your entire life, And you start to, like, make what are really simple connections that you just wish you'd made earlier. Another thing that I did was I started to use nutritional supplements instead of, I think they're called hormonal supplements, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I started to use things like vitamin C and iron. And eventually I moved away from that as well. But again, that took time. And eventually I don't need 5-HTP and melatonin anymore. It did take about 6 weeks, I think, to get away from both of them. Maybe a little longer for 5-HTP. And then just over time through diet, changing how I supplement, like using nutrition rather than the hormonal stuff. Eventually I got away from it. Then I started to exercise again. And then I stopped. And then I started to exercise again. And then I stopped. And now I just realized that I don't like taking a break from exercise. I've realized I just like exercising every day, which means I need to make it really, really easy for myself because I don't like taking breaks. I find it really difficult taking a break. My brain doesn't want to do it. My brain's just like, oh, we're taking a break now. Let's just not go back to it. I'm just like, no, brain, no, that's not how this works. Brain's like, think it is. So I've learned that I need to just do like little bits, but do it like every day. And that's had a really positive impact on my sleep as well. And how have I also then moved away from the nutritional supplements? So pretty much for the most part, for an entire like 3 to 4 weeks, I don't generally need anywhere near as much. But I still do use something. I use 1000 IU of vitamin D before I go to bed, and it's powdered. And I also use a multivitamin in the middle of the night. So I just changed when I take my multivitamin. I don't take my multivitamin in the morning anymore because I don't really seem to feel the effect. When I take it in the middle of the night, I'm like, and I just go straight back to sleep. And the vitamin D before bedtime seems to just help just knock me into like sleep mode. And I think it's because I've got autoimmune problems. But literally over a year ago, I was taking like 5-HTP and melatonin and stuff, and I was like, everything was just way more dysregulated. Like, I still have Hashimoto's, thyroiditis, and I still do have sleep problems. But there's just such a really, really big improvement, like, over the last, like, 12 to 18 months that I just thought I'd share that. And one other thing that's helped is that I've realized I really like getting up early. Like, if you're waking up at maybe like 4, 5 in the morning, and you're like, oh, why am I waking up at this time? I want to go back to sleep. You might not actually really want to go back to sleep. It might just be that you need to go to bed earlier. And I could never get to sleep earlier, and that's why I was stuck for a really long time. Couldn't get to sleep early, but kept waking up early. And I kept not getting enough sleep, and it was annoying the hell out of me. And I always assumed that I just needed to wake up later, but I didn't. It was that I needed to go to sleep earlier, and that's where the vitamin D came in. That's what enables me to get to sleep earlier, is the vitamin D. And then how do I stay asleep? I'm just like, wake up and like, ugh, multivitamin, back to sleep again. And I'm all good. So I thought I'd share that with you. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Bye.